But yeah, if you're a man, I think you should experience isolation because when you don't have external influence, that's when you truly find who you are. I mean, all those like years where I was just I wasn't doing social media, I had no motion on anything. I had nothing going for me. I was still just like trying to figure out who I was.
There is a problem with his content. I can't follow the logic of Jett's persona. He claims he spends most of his time in the basement in extreme isolation, yet when he makes a video about consciousness, he uses examples like, when I go to parties, I see people just wearing masks, seeking validation. When I watch a movie with my family, I can't help but notice how naively they get hooked on the narrative.
You go to a party and you see that the conversation that somebody's having with you is just fake and it's just for validation. You watch a movie and you notice how there are like 50 million different messages and it's like these people are just eating it up.
Here's the question: how can you form a legit opinion about how people behave at parties or during family events if you claim you mostly sit in a basement and are the introvert that doesn't want to interact with people? Obviously, there's something that he isn't stating correctly, or I'm just missing some detail. There are only two options. Either he is genuinely sitting in his basement, or his understanding of extreme isolation and being extremely introverted is greatly exaggerated, and he actually lives life outside of his basement and simply wants to maintain this persona of basement philosopher for this audience. I don't know. But the persona isn't the main point. As I said before, this situation relieves a deeper philosophical trap about the individual. Jett's worldview is built on Kierkegaard's critique of Hegel, the idea that we must stop dissolving into the ground and exist as a conscious single individual. Jett is consumed by this idea. He cannot unsee that everyone around him is seeking validation, being hooked on narratives, doing the exact opposite of what should be done. But here's the catch: both Jett and his audience fall right into Hegel's trap, which even Kierkegaard didn't want to fall into. There is no pure individual, there is no true self to find in isolation. If we look at Hegel's idea in simple terms and kind of cherry pick the ideas from it, it seems very solid. A pure individual doesn't exist. It is made by things that are around him, so there is no purity in that. And the only thing happening in the basement is that you are finding a mere reflection of the content you have consumed, someone else's ideas through their lenses, instead of positioning against the people, the environment that you encounter in real life through your own eyes. This idea can be described this way. Imagine a circle. You have a feeling about something but not clear argumentation. Then someone in the circle says something like, eating people is wrong, and you react. Your consciousness manifests only through contact with other consciousnesses. You cannot arrive at an epiphany without his external stimuli. Your thoughts are bound to the people, things in the circle, because that are the things that you are encountering. The more you encounter, the more you define who you are in relation to these encounters. Self-awareness only happens in this circle because we can't imagine the content that is outside of it. So those thoughts can't be provoked and they can't come into our consciousness. So the consciousness is somewhat bound by the circle we live in. Except this time, when we say we sit in a basement and we find ourselves, it's an algorithm or a book, not a living conversation out there in the world, just a glance through someone else's view, not even yours. So, are you really finding yourself? Jett even goes against what Kierkegaard was trying to do. He wanted the individual to be at the center, not an individual made up of the impressions of other individuals, which is exactly what Jett is doing. And that is a problem because he is not becoming himself in a genuine sense, like Kierkegaard wanted and argumented, but instead he's absorbing second-hand experiences from the outside world. In that sense, he does not achieve true subjectivity, but only kind of empty subjectivity, where he seems inward and self-aware, while in reality he is still shaped by the crowd he thinks he has escaped. The crowd has simply taken a new form, that of social media, which feeds him what he already wants to hear and offers him ready-made interpretations instead of genuine self-confrontation, which Kierkegaard wrote about. But we don't want to accept that this is the truth, that our thoughts are mere reflections of the content we consumed. We don't want this relation to things. We want to say that it's our idea. We want to discredit others. We want to feel like there is a true self that actually made these ideas. Hegel describes this feeling perfectly with the example of the king and the slave. The king receives the fruits, the slave obtains them. The king is nothing without the slave, but the king does not want to acknowledge this relation. So a problem arises. I don't want the relation to the slave, but I cannot kill him because then I cease to exist. People want to say those are my thoughts, but they are not. They are mere reflection of what they consume, and without them, they do not exist. And this brings us back to Jett. A person finds philosopher's idea. He begins to associate them with a narrow set of thoughts that are said through someone else's lenses. Then the algorithm feeds him more of the same thing he already likes. He sits in a basement, develops a narrow train of thought, and believes this is life, the pursuit of true self, because that is the only thing that he sees. It's either be chasing validation or be Kierkegaard. There is no other option, so you must pick a side, because that is the only relation that he has encountered. He then spreads this message to thousands of people who think, yeah, that's me. Of course, he might be not stating something very precisely, but that doesn't change the result. That we have now a mass of people who mistake a narrow information bubble for their identity. And most dangerously, social isolation is romanticized as the path to the true self. But in reality, the true self isn't achievable. The only thing you are developing is the relation between books you've read and the feed that the algorithm provides. And the people are stuck with this idea of the truth, with no way to escape, because they live in a basement where there are no oppositions that will challenge their understanding. I understand that Jett is just trying to put up some shots. I understand that he is just throwing pasta against the wall until something happens. And that is partially the way to grow on social media. There is nothing wrong with that, do something until something happens. But to those people that support him, they really start developing themselves as this dude in the basement. And how could you not do that when this dude shares exactly what he did? Dedicated so much to this idea of isolation, it must be true that in the end it is all worth it. Look at him. He is starting to gain success. From them, Jett isn't just a persona that might be true or false, but for his fans, it's an identity that they want to get closer to, and they might be going towards it. Remember, take everything with a big grain of salt. Philosophy is just a tool that you work with, and you have to be careful because sometimes it can compel you like an art to the point you start seeing something like it's the truth, the reality, but it's just an idea from a narrow viewpoint. And obviously this video is kind of chaotic because there is a lot going on over here and there are many interesting concepts. And again, remember, this isn't about some dude in a basement. This is about the general public and how they should be seeing things. 10 billion likes and we'll make a part 2.